Question I get asked all the time is, what should I do if I'm showing a weakness off the chest in my bench press? And a lot of times we want to discuss that from like an exercise standpoint. So I thought maybe it'd be cool if we just kind of have a little jam session about exercise selection for bottom range of motion bench training. Probably one of the first things that I like to do if someone's showing a weakness off the chest, I like to go toward pin presses and long pause benches. I think those are very specific and very applicable to most people most of the time. The long pause bench is pretty self-explanatory. It's a competition bench press. You just pause on the chest for longer. That additional pause length is an isometric contraction in the bottom position. It's an isometric hold in this position that you're trying to get stronger in. So you're practicing effectively what that bottom position is, and you're applying more stress to that joint configuration. So I think that's a good way to go. You're practicing that pause. Where I would go with it is normally a 2 count or 3 count pause, but I've definitely done up to 5 count pauses. I don't typically go past that. The longer the pause, the less the weight on the bar, and you start to sacrifice some of that specificity. Another thing that we like to do are chest level pin presses. So this would be bench pressing in a power rack or something similar, where you set the safety pins so it stops the bar as close to chest level as possible. This is really good for pushing kind of a dead weight off that bottom position. There's some other things that happen there too. When you bring the bar down and you pause it on the pins, you get this split second where you're not really under tension, and you can think for a second about, where are my elbows? What direction do I want to press the bar as it comes off the pins? Something along those lines. So it gives you a little bit of space to be aware of what position your body is in and what bar path you want to choose as you come off the pins. And that's why it's really good for people who are working kind of a bar path angle and need to improve their bar path for the bench, which is kind of one of the main reasons people have this sticking point in the bench press. I like to use incline bench to train that as well. It's good for people who are weak off the chest. It's good for people who are struggling to maintain a good bar path. Not so much because you want the bar path to be exactly like an incline bench, but it helps to get you in the habit of bringing the bar back over the shoulders early in the movement. From there, you can work other movements like board presses or floor presses that help you kind of work on that elbow flare, or just bench pressing more generally is a great way to integrate these concepts back into the competition lift. These all fall under the category of special development exercises, SDEs. These are movements that train a particular piece of the bench pressing skill. It gets at one little aspect, and we're trying to improve that little aspect so that you can still perform well under heavy loads. It's specific so that you're still developing the muscular strength that you need to move heavier weights, but it's also an interesting bit of skill training. And as long as you're still training the competition bench, as long as you're still doing the more specific work, you'll be able to reintegrate that back into the competition movement and hopefully see a nice transfer to your competition bench. Wait a minute, so we're gonna do some training and we're gonna keep doing it until it stops working, and then we'll transition and do something else. Yeah, that's basically it. It's not a training system as much as it's an epistemological system. It's a way of interacting with the world and understanding how things work. I was always interested in tinkering with my training. I'm not sure that I would have wanted a coach to tell me what to do exactly. I like tinkering, and even now I like the tinkering process of it. And I thought, what am I doing to help those people? It can give you a process for coming up with the best creative solutions for an individual lifter. And program for yourself and pay attention to your own training. I think it's a great way to understand a lot of that stuff and hopefully get to where you can build it yourself and speed up that whole learning process.